Hello everyone, you may be asking, why do my builds suck? Why am I doing horrible in the Elden Ring DLC? Well, today I'm going to show you why. So first, we need to look at what our stats actually do. Our stats are extremely important to our builds and determine what kind of builds we're going to be doing. So at the bottom of the screen you can see there's a help option. So controller, it's the double window. So if you click on that, you hit explanation. It can literally show you exactly what your stats do. So right here, Vigor. Attribute governing HP, which means it increases your HP. It also increases fire resistance and immunity. Mind. Determines FP, also affects focus. Endurance. Determines your stamina. It also affects robustness. And it determines how heavy your equipment can be, so it increases your equip load. Your strength. Allows you to wield heavier weapons. It also boosts your attack and power of your strength scaling ornaments and affects your physical defense. Your dexterity, attributes required to wield advanced ornaments, also boosts attack power of dexterity scaling stuff, reduces cast time of spells. Next we have intelligence, which increases your glintstone sorceries and boosts intelligence stuff. Same thing with faith, it boosts magic power of faith scaling incantations and sacred incantations. And arcane is for discovery, which is higher item drops on your characters. It affects your holy defense, vitality, and certain sorceries and incantations. Also, I believe arcane is the stat for bleed damage as well. So that's one of the biggest things, is that you don't know what to put your stats in. So you need to know what kind of weapon you're trying to use. Right here, maybe I want to use this backhand blade I found. So I need strength and dex. As you can see, I don't have a lot of strength and dex because this is something that I just found. And before I was using the Dragon Communion Seal to cast a lot of Dragon Communion incantations or even any incantations. It has an S scaling in Arcane and a B in Faith, which is why I have a high Arcane and Faith. So one of the things with stats is there's soft caps on stats. So it's what soft caps are, is essentially when you raise a stat to a certain level, it stops increasing as much as that it was before. So for the example of Vigor, if you level your Vigor from level 1 to 40, you're going to have increases from each level on average about 29.5 health. Whereas when you're at level 41 to 60 for your Vigor, you're going to have average 22.5. And then if you're at 61 to 90, you're going to have average 5.1. So you're not going to have a large increase in Vigor after the point of level 60. So after level 60, there's really no point in leveling Vigor anymore. The other stats have things like this too, but they're a little bit different. So like your Mind actually has a lower increase from level 1 to 15. It has an average of 3.21. Actually, as you level up Mind, anywhere from 16 to 35, you get on average 5.25 FP gain. And then on level 36 to 50, you get a 6.67 increase to FP. And then 51 to 60, your increase in FP is on average 5. And then 61 to 99, your average is 2.56. So there you want to stop around the 60 as well. And it seems like that's the same thing for endurance. Endurance, you get a 1.79 stamina gain for 1 through 15, 1.67 stamina gain for 16 through 30, and 1.25 stamina gain for 31 to 50. So as you can see, a lot of things have these soft caps, and you don't want to over level certain stats just because there's no point in doing it, because you're not getting as much of an increase, whereas you could be putting it into something else where you could be getting more of an increase. Let's say you already made the mistake of putting your levels into random stats. Well, if you have defeat in Lunala, you could come back to where you defeated her at in the boss room. And I'll show you on the map. It is the Raya Lucaria Grand Library, and I'll have the Runala Queen of the Full Moon, and this little symbol means that there is an NPC there. You could talk to Runala, and if you have a larval tier, you can reset your stats. So you go to Rebirth, I can use a larval tier, and it will reset my levels. So I'm going to show you where you can find 2 larval tiers. So one larval tier you can find very quickly is at the Boil Prawn Shack. Now, there is mimics in this game, if you did not know, and some of the enemies will transform once you defeat them. I'm gonna run over here to the shrimp that is walking around patrolling the lands and defeat him, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Alright, so here's the shrimp. He's a pretty big shrimp. I think he's actually a prawn, but... Alright, so I defeated that prawn, and as you can see, he transformed into a grafted scion. So now is what I have to do is defeat the grafted scion, and you will see that he will drop a larval tier. I got the larval tier. Now I'm going to show you location for another larval tier, just in case, let's say you use that one and you messed up again. So, you go to the Agile Lake South, and then you're gonna go a little bit of east. You saw my marker there. So once we're at the Agile Lake South Grace, we are going to get on the torrent and run up the hill here. And you have to watch out because there's a knight that goes around on his horse, so you don't want to mess with him. But there's going to be this skeleton over here. You're going to want to defeat him. So I'm going to put on my holy grease, walk over, defeat this guy. And he's easy, really easy. But then this boom bear comes out of him, and you have to defeat him. And once you defeat him, as you can see, you get another larval tier. So there's a second larval tier that you could go and take to Rundala if you end up messing up your stats. So I wanted to show you something just in case if you had forgotten. So as you can see, my strength scaling and my dex scaling both on this backhand blade are C, which isn't really that good for me because my strength and my dexterity aren't that high. So I would want something that increases with faith and arcane. So if you come over to a site of grace, you can go to down here where it says Ashes of War. You can change the Ash of War, and if you didn't know, the Ash of War is what your LT is. So that's what the Ash of War for this weapon is. You could go to the Grace, go to Ashes of War, click on the weapon, and you can change it to anything you want here. So I was using the Shriek of Sorrow because it, I believe, increases my damage when I use it. So, as you can see, if I switch it to the Occult, it now has an A scaling in Arcane, which means that it scales a lot more damage with my Arcane. And since my Arcane is very high, that would be pretty good for me. So, let me just smack a guy over here real quick, and we can see the difference. Obviously, these guys I'm going to one-shot, but that did 405 damage in one shot. Let's go back and switch to what we were at before. Alright, so now I'm going to show you what it's like if you have no enhancement on your weapon. See, I did 259 damage. So that's almost 150 damage increase, a little bit less, on my weapon. So that's a huge buff. And that's something that you guys should be paying attention to. Now also, there's other ways that you can make your build even better. There is talismans. Talismans are very important in your build. So this one I have, it increases my attack power with successive attacks, and I do a lot of attacks in a row, so it just builds up my attack power a bunch. I have Bloodloss in Vicinity, increases attack power, and I have the incantation of Swarm of Flies, which when it goes to an enemy, it'll inflict bleed after a little bit of it being on the enemy. So that will increase my damage as well. And then there's ones that are actually important that I don't have any on right now. But let's say I didn't want this Faith one on. Dragon Crest Shield Talisman, I think gives you around a 20% damage reduction. Just straight up physical damage reduction. That's huge. That is huge for taking hits from the bosses, especially in the DLC. So I'm actually going to equip that right now. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to tell you about was armor. Armor actually does matter. So if you press X on any of the armor, it'll tell you what it does. So like, look at this Cerulean Tear Scarab. It slightly increases your recovery effects from the Flask of Cerulean Tears, but it increases your damage taken. Then this Elder Head, it increases the amounts of Arcane. And the Silver Chair Mask greatly increases Arcane, which increases it +8. You can see on the side where my Arcane is 63, normally it's 55. But that decreases your physical attack power. So you need to play around and look at all your different pieces of gear, and they will tell you what they do. Some of them do nothing, but a lot of them actually have a purpose. So make sure that you do that. Alright everyone, those are all the things that you could be looking out for to increase your build and conquer the DLC. As you can see, I'm a growing content creator. I appreciate the support and love from everybody. And if you could please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. And I hope you all have a great day.